Never Knew I Wanted to Be a Breast Cancer Survivor by Rebecca J. Hogue. After a long bike ride, celebrating the unpacking of the last box, I step into the shower in my new home in Santa Clara, California. After a year of back and forth, I'm finally living with my husband again. It's been a long year, and I'm so happy to be home. I feel a hard spot on my left pec. It must just be a muscle strain. Only it doesn't hurt, which is odd. I lay down on the bed and check again. Still there. Days go by, and each day after my shower, I check. It's June 9th, 2014, a Monday, a couple of weeks after I first felt that hard spot. Surely a muscle strain would have resolved itself by now. I call my doctor at 8 a.m. and have an appointment at 9 a.m. That's definitely not something that would have happened if I was still living in Canada. I walk into her office saying, "It's probably nothing, but..." Lying on her exam room table, arms above my head with a paper cloth draped over my naked chest, she begins the exam. As she examines my left breast, she gets to the spot. She feels around. She asks me, "Is this what you're feeling?" I nod yes. She feels around it some more, and then continues with the rest of the exam. I can see concern in her eyes. It is at this moment that I know it's not a muscle strain. I have a lump in my breast. She orders a mammogram and ultrasound. I try to get more information from her, but she says, "Let's take this one step at a time." I walk over to the booking desk to schedule a diagnostic test. The soonest they can get me in is Thursday. It's June 12th, 2014, a Thursday. Scott, my husband, skips his team-building bowling outing to sit with me. The only reason he's here is because the appointment sheet said at the bottom, "You will get your results immediately." The idea of getting diagnostic test results immediately is new to me. I grew up being told that my doctor would receive the results in a few days or a few weeks. I'm brought to a small waiting room where women sit in soft, short robes, naked from the waist up, waiting for their exam. I'm 20 or more years younger than everyone else in the room. People look at me with sad eyes. I have my first ever mammogram. It's not fun. Not that mammograms are ever fun. The squeezing of my breast that has a lump in it is particularly painful. The technician is kind, but also insistent that I stand still, enduring the pain. I'm placed back in the waiting room, told not to get dressed yet. I'm brought back to another room for an ultrasound. As she moves the wand over my skin, over the lump, she marks out various measurements. I don't think to look. I don't know what the measurements mean, at least not yet. When she's finished, she tells me to wait there while she checks with the radiologist. I'm used to this. It's the standard process with diagnostic imaging. She returns. She says, "The radiologist would like to speak to you." Naive me did not know that those were ominous words. Dressed and having collected Scott from the waiting room, we're shown to the radiologist's office. The radiologist enters, and I can sense that he's a kind man with a calm presence. He doesn't sugarcoat it. "You have breast cancer." Time stops. Those words hang in my head. How could this possibly be? I booked an appointment for you to see the surgeon. He has a spot open in 45 minutes. He can do the biopsy immediately. Trying to reassure me, he says, if my mother or sister had cancer, this is the surgeon I would send them to. We have half an hour before the appointment, so we go out for a walk around the building. It isn't particularly pretty, with a highway on one side and a major road on another, but it gets us out and gets us moving. We need to process this, but don't have enough information yet. We cancel our dinner plans with a friend from Ottawa who's in town. When we suddenly cancel, he texts back, I hope everything's okay. I don't answer. I don't know what to say. Everything is definitely not okay, but this is not the time or place to tell anyone. In the surgeon's office, again with a naked chest, hands above my head, paper draped over my right breast, left breast exposed. The surgeon feels the lump and stabs me with a large needle to numb the area. He then leaves us alone for 10 minutes, waiting for the numbing to take effect. When it's frozen, he takes a needle that's more than 2 millimeters thick, jabs me, and then extracts tissue. I watch as he places the tissue in a collection container. A core needle biopsy, which typically uses a 14-gauge needle, reminds me of the rock samples taken by geologists and engineers. The surgeon then puts in a couple of stitches to close the holes he created and covers the wound with gauze and tape. The procedure takes less than 10 minutes. I have an appointment for you next Wednesday, he says. We should have the biopsy results by then and can discuss your options. But first, while you were here, the radiologist saw something in your right breast. He would like you to go back down for another ultrasound. Wanting more information before we leave, we ask. He offers a 2-minute explanation of next steps. Given the size of the tumor, you will likely need a mastectomy, and that can probably happen within a week or two. You will likely need chemotherapy, but we won't know that or what kind until we have the biopsy results. For surgery, you'll need to consider whether or not you want reconstruction, as that will affect how I do the mastectomy. The good news is that insurance is required to cover the cost of reconstructive surgery after breast cancer. Until that point, I had no idea the role insurance would play in my treatment. The other shoe drops. The radiologist sees a lump in my right breast. Since this one cannot be easily felt, he books me in for an ultrasound-guided biopsy the next day. Not only do I have cancer in my left breast, I might also have cancer in my right breast. Breast cancer doesn't spread from one breast to the other. This is a second cancer. Bilateral breast cancer is rare. Less than 2% of breast cancers are bilateral. I feel like I'm growing cancer everywhere. What does this mean for me? Today, more than 10 years later, I can write this entire story of diagnosis. I remember it vividly. I see myself from above, standing at the mammogram machine, sitting in the waiting room, laying down as the ultrasound tech moves the wand above the lump. The radiologist speaking to us. Scott and I walking around the building. The biopsy in the surgeon's office. The second ultrasound. I even remember going to the sushi place across the street from the clinic for dinner. I cannot summarize my second diagnosis so neatly because it wasn't neat. It didn't happen in a single day. It's the evening of May 16th, 2023. After several months of abnormal blood tests, I go for a CT scan. They failed to tell me during the prep call that they needed to use contrast. I arrived dehydrated from a day of physical work. They cannot find a vein, so the scan must be rebooked for a daytime slot. I'm not concerned. I'm rebooked for Wednesday, June 28th. Friday, June 30th, my family doctor calls me. The CT scan showed enlarged lymph nodes in your right underarm. I swear. Then I ask, how about my lungs? They're clear. And my liver? It is clear. The only concerning finding is the lymph nodes. The radiologist booked you in for an ultrasound-guided biopsy next Friday, July 7th. You don't need to do anything to prepare. The date July 7th holds memories for me. It was my father's birthday. It was the day we left home on our round-the-world bike trip. It was the day I started chemotherapy for the first time. It is the day of my biopsy. My doctor calls me again on Thursday, July 20th in the morning, 2 weeks after the biopsy. We're just about to leave for a weekend-long folk festival. It is cancer, he says. What kind of cancer, I ask. We don't know. They didn't have enough of a sample to tell. I have either breast cancer recurrence or lymphoma. I'm annoyed and angry that they were not able to tell me what kind of cancer. I have no idea what I'm dealing with. But first, we go spend a very wet weekend camping and listening to folk music. I'll share more of the details of my second diagnosis in a future episode. The short story is that it took from the imaging on June 28th until July 20th to have confirmation of cancer, and then it wasn't until September 12th before breast cancer's confirmed, and October 10th, 3.5 months before I get the full pathology. What took a week in the US took 3.5 months in Canada. To be fair, the first time I was younger, a young breast cancer survivor, and breast cancer in younger women is more aggressive. My second breast cancer wasn't growing that fast. It wasn't as urgent, so the system didn't operate urgently. However, there were several times where things could have moved faster. If I'd not been pushing, then things might have been delayed even further. The first time around, I learned a lot about advocating for myself. That helped me know when I should and shouldn't be pushing the system the second time around.